Andrea Heuston here. I am the host of the Lead Like a Woman show. Well, the hostess really, where I feature strong female leaders and how they're changing our world for the better. We have over 40,000 people on social media who are sharing our message of empowering female leaders to empower others. And I would love it if you keep sharing. Follow the show right now as you listen. And if you're so inclined, we'd love a 5-star review on Apple. We keep charting all over the world. Last week was Belgium. So thank you to the Belgian people. But really, listen where you are, follow where you are, and give us a 5-star review. In this episode, we're going to talk about balance, and that is balancing motherhood and leadership. And that's something that is very intriguing to all of us. But first, before we get to that, this episode is brought to you by Artitudes. Are you a woman who wants to start a business, or do you already own one? Artitudes has a special offer for you. Learn to pitch for funding and for sales with our women-owned package. It includes content and speaker coaching and a pitch or sales presentation so that you can win with confidence. You can find it at artitudes.com/women-owned. And I want you to remember that's women with an E. It's collective, friends. So again, artitudes.com/women-owned. And always, if you want to find me, I'm all over LinkedIn, or if you type hashtag lead like a woman into your search bar, it's kind of crazy, but I come up. So today we have 2 amazing female authors and leaders that I'm excited to introduce. Emilia Donsica is the founder and managing director of Growth Molecules, a management consulting firm focused on protecting and growing revenue. The company's mission is to help organizations increase profit while maximizing customer value. Emilia has amassed more than 20 years of customer experience in roles as a fractional chief customer officer at several companies and as vice president of customer engagement at WalkMe, director of client service operations at Bright Edge, and director of customer success at JobBite. Emilia holds a BA from the University of British Columbia and an MBA with honors from St. Mary's College of California. She is PMP and Scrum certified. She resides in the San Francisco Bay Area in California with her 3 children and her partner. Now, Sabina Pons is the managing director of Growth Molecules, and she's a former tech exec turned award-winning management consultant, investor, and keynote speaker whose focus is on driving revenue protection and growth for technology companies. Sabina is a global business builder with expertise in customer success, customer support, tech support, contact centers, sales, and professional services for hyper-growth B2B and B2B2C software as a service companies. Sabina has served as Chief Customer Officer, Global VP of Customer Success and Support for companies that she's helped to scale from 14 million to 100 million and beyond. Sabina holds a master's in leadership, communication, and organizational behavior from Gonzaga University, go Zags, and a bachelor in public relations from the University of Southern California. She co-authored the book, Pressing On as a Tech Mom, How Tech Industry Mothers Set Goals, Define Boundaries, and Raise the Bar for Success, with the mission to uplift working mothers in the tech industry. Outside of the office, Sabina can be found practicing Taekwondo, hiking, and spending time with her husband and 2 young children. We're a Taekwondo family too. Welcome, Emilia and Sabina, to the Lead Like a Woman show.
Thank you for having us.
Yay, I'm glad you're both here. So, Emilia and Sabina, we just established that you've both been in the tech sector in very, very successful roles for over 20 years now. I would love to know what sparked you to write your book. And I'm going to say the whole title this time, and then we'll move on to the shortened version. But the whole title is Pressing On as a Tech Mom, How Tech Industry Mothers Set Goals, Define Boundaries, and Raise the Bar for Success. Sabina.
We decided during COVID that the combination of our own experiences as women in tech and moms in tech, as well as the stories we heard from countless women, really needed to have an opportunity to shine. There's been amazing books like Emily Chang's Brotopia that was whistleblowing and illuminated I'll call them travesties that were going on in the early 2000s and beyond in the Silicon Valley, bro culture.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of different research and studies published regularly by organizations like Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In and of course, many other studies, even by Harvard Business Review, that showcase there's been significant progress forward, but the challenges that we face as moms in tech are still very prevalent. And things like mentorship, sponsorship, things like grappling with fertility, infertility, mental health, postpartum depression, anxiety, the balance, which we'll talk about later. Those things are all very common. And a lot of us were feeling those privately, internally, and not realizing, wait a minute, my peer group is also experiencing these things. So let's shine some light on their journeys, their stories, and most importantly, how they overcame them or are working to overcome them together.
How fabulous. I went through infertility desperately. And I think that's a word that connects a lot of women who've done that. But I did that before the internet was really big. So I'm old anyway. My kids are older now. But years and years and years ago, there was no community based around this. So what a fabulous resource you've created to talk about all the journey in a woman's life, as she is a tech mom as well. So I think it's wonderful that you created this book. So what I want to know, Emilia, when you wrote this book, when you co-authored this book, Pressing On as a Tech Mom, what went right?
I think how Sabina and I work together is the foundation of what went right. We really respected each other's feedback, agreed to set deadlines. We took turns flying to each other's houses for the weekend to just really focus on writing and set goals for each other to keep each other accountable. So that's the foundation of co-writing a book.
Right.
Secondly is all the women who were willing to be vulnerable. They not only shared their own stories, we featured 12 very different women and their journeys through pressing on as a tech mom. And then we anonymously sent out a survey across our social media during COVID and asked women to share their experiences. Some had left, others were thinking about leaving, others were thinking about entering tech. And we not only looked at that research, but also what was out in public and shared those raw stories. So the authenticity is really what I believe I'm really thankful for and what makes this a great book. And then last but not least, I think it's the people who have enriched our lives through and mentored us through being tech moms. That was really important. Sabina and I feel we were vulnerable ourselves in this book and share our own successes, but also the huge challenges we faced. Like, I will never forget being so nervous trying to pump milk in my office, being the first mom at the company and having my back against the wall, a piece of paper on the window and praying no one would open it because there was no lock. So that kind of stress, I had to recall those experiences and many that were painful. So those are the three things that I believe really make this a great book. And I'm really proud of the outcome.
It's exciting that you were able to collect input from over 300 tech industry leaders. And it sounds like you did that through that survey, but then you focused on 12 very different women and their experiences. So how did you find those women to be part of your book?
They were people that we knew. They were people that we knew within our network and our community, due to the fact that at Growth Molecules, as consultants to tech companies, many of them may have been our customers. We work with over 80 customers a year, 80 logos a year. So between people that we knew that were part of our peer group coming up through the industry, or people who we have had the opportunity and pleasure with in serving in our roles today.
So I'm going to go to you first, Emilia, but what is one, I call it the golden nugget. Out of all these women that you were able to interview and speak with, what is the one thing that stands out for you that has really, really helped influence you? What is one thing you learned?
I think this has taken years to learn, and the book and listening to these women's stories as we were researching and writing helped me confirm that word balance means something different for everyone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
for me, what it means is sometimes I have to hyper focus on work, and some of the things like my house, my children may feel a little neglected, and
Yeah.
being open about it and being okay with it and not having guilt is really a key to success as a working mom in general. And then other times I need to shut off work and I need to focus on my health and well-being along with my family and not be apologetic about it. I don't want to have those feelings I had when I would leave work at 5:20 to make sure I went to daycare to get my children before I started racking up bills and getting those guilt trips from people who weren't parents. And it's just a terrible feeling.
It is. I agree.
Yes, I think being unapologetic is critical. I mean, just even this morning in the news, Americans are having fewer children than ever. The reason it's hard to balance. And so just remembering that balance means different things to different people and being okay with it is the key nugget for me.
Oh, I think so too. That's a great one to have learned. Sabina, how about you? What is one golden nugget you took from all these interviews and interactions?
The key thing is that we're not alone.
That's
so
true
really
too.
touched on that. How many times traveling, pumping, sending milk back home. I was also the first woman at my company to have a baby, and helping guide the HR team on what it was that I needed in terms of a private place to pump. I didn't realize, even as I was pregnant, running to the bathroom ill with the morning sickness, right? I had a male colleague catch me. I had just come back from work, and he was somewhat of a mentor to me and asked how I was doing, like how was I really doing? And I just started to cry because I was well. And it wasn't the logistics. This happened to be my second child. It was more about the struggle I was going through with postpartum depression and anxiety, and the journey that my OB put me on, so to speak, rather than what I would have had I met with a mental health practitioner, for example. They prescribe different meds to help you stabilize and balance what wasn't necessarily the right combination of things. So getting to the point where I could get back to work at 13 weeks postpartum in a way that I felt somewhat whole, somewhat normal. And normal to me meant, was I able to accomplish the technical tasks of being a leader that I needed to do that day? Didn't need to be pretty, but just do the best that I could. right? And he caught me in my tracks and he says, come in my office. And he's like, shut the door. And he's like, let it out. My wife went through something significant and she was actually hospitalized. And I want you to know that I'm here for you and I don't take this lightly. And if there's anything I can do to support you, please reach out. So
that's absolutely beautiful.
I was really lucky. I was really, really lucky. And then realizing too, of my friends growing up, half of them are stay-at-home moms and half of them work. And we didn't really have time to talk to each other about the challenges that we were experiencing in that moment because we didn't have time to go to the bathroom by ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And that doesn't happen for a while, right? They got to get older.
I know. Even the dog still follows me now.
Yeah. That's funny.
Right. So having that epiphany, like, wait a minute, it's not just me. And finally reaching out and carving out time, just like Emilia said, for fitness, for personal development and growth, that might actually entail texting a friend and saying, how are you really doing right now?
Yeah. It's about being a whole person.
Mm-hmm.
I feel sometimes like we're supposed to be a certain person at work and a certain person at home, and there's no room for overlap, but we are whole people. And what I love about your book is that it's really showing that it's okay to be a whole person. It's okay to be a whole woman. It's okay to be a mom. Mom is important. Okay. And so the impetus for this book, I mean, we talked a little bit about how it came to be, but it also was about male counterparts understanding and appreciating working mothers. Now, it sounds, Sabina, like you had somebody in your work life who really did that. But, there are a lot of men out there who don't get it. Still. So tell us a little bit about workplace sexism and how your book addresses that, Emilia.
I was on Goodreads and I read a woman's review of our book saying there wasn't enough negative information about being a woman in tech. Well,
oh my.
go read Brotopia. That was the book for me. Sabina referred to it, by Emily Chang. It is the epitome of many of the sexist experiences that I experienced when I was in tech. And you don't need to be a mother to experience it.
No, that's true.
Exactly. So that was the book. It's already been written. Sabina and I wanted to write a book, and I'll speak for myself, but that educates men and people in general that don't have children about why we have a place in tech, and the voice we bring represents your buyer. Your buyers are mothers, and we have a voice that can help you see that and help your product be better and your employee experience. So we didn't want to book about all the negativity. Yes, we share our hard experiences, but we wanted to focus on how can you make tech a better place for women, keep women here. And we have a lot of men that we thank in the book, that wrote quotes, that read the book. So this
is allies, right? We need them.
Exactly. So we chose to make it a positive book, and that men are absolutely our allies, because many of them are at the top and they have the power to influence what we are able to accomplish. And so I really, really respect men. And my husband, my partner, has been my biggest champion, always respecting the decisions I make, the risks I take, and how many hours I spent on this book.
Isn't it important to have that partner as a champion? My husband is my biggest champion. And for some reason, my biggest fan. He listens to every single one of these podcasts, which is crazy. So thanks, Eric. Shout out to Eric Heuston. But it's so important to have those people who support us and lift us up. Because if we don't, we're not going to get anywhere. That's what it's about in life. But it's also about women and men. It's about both. So I want to rewind for just a second, because you both work at Growth Molecules. Now I say work at, but you both run Growth Molecules. So tell us a little bit, Sabina, you were telling me before we started, about how did the two of you meet?
When I was in my global role at MavenLink, we had the opportunity to bring together my large team, and we had people who were domain experts in the space we served, and some of them were not and needed some additional support in the way that we engage customers and driving customer experience. So we hired Emilia and her team to come in and help us with a strategy and then a clear coaching culture to drive behavioral change. Pretty critical, really helpful. Thought she did a really good job with that. I also found out, however, that she is a mom in tech. And this was around that time that I had my second baby, and I was not feeling confident. I was not feeling equipped to be able to be the driver that I am organically. Okay. And I asked her, would you be open to mentoring me? I was so embarrassed to ask her that question.
Oh, no, don't be embarrassed.
I felt like I was asking her out on a date, right? And this was 6 or 7 years ago. I've grown a lot since then. And I've never asked anybody out on a date before. I'm heterosexual. I've been honored to have men ask me out, which has been wonderful. Married 18 years, my husband still asks me out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so that was a really uncomfortable thing for me, but I got out of my comfort zone. That is how we learn and grow. We really subscribe and lead by that methodology or mindset. And she said yes. So we continued a mostly over Zoom relationship. She's in Northern California. I'm in Southern California.
Right.
Has 3 children. They were all a little bit older than mine. I have 2. I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old now. And this was over 7 years ago because I just had the baby.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, I didn't realize that. And ultimately, we continued a relationship and stayed in touch and shared what I was going through in my day job, and not always related to the motherhood aspect, but also just to women in tech together, and specifically in subscription software. And it was wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to go create Growth Molecules. I want to do this on my own, or not my own, but I want to do this separately. And I have a way that I want to bring these services to market that's different than what I've been able to do under different umbrellas in the past. And if it sounds like something you might want to do, I would love it to get to work with you. And I took some time. I wasn't ready to make the jump to entrepreneurial mindset and day job where there isn't a 401k match. Right?
That's true.
I
understand that.
Yeah, so many chiropractic adjustments a year. So ultimately, then saw the fun she was having and the opportunity that it would actually give me in a work-life balance. I work harder now than I ever have in my life, but it's when I want to, with who I want to, in the type of projects we get to do where I'm stimulated and excited. So that was a really big attractive draw. We started doing that together in April of 21, and now here, years later, we've hit targets every year. I'll share at least one piece of information. We hit $1 million in our first year, and for
awesome.
Less than 5, less than 4 at the time, that's a pretty remarkable feat that we're really proud of.
Yeah, you should be. Absolutely. So Emilia, I want to know from your side that, and I know how you met now, and I know how you got together, but Emilia, what was the impetus for you to start Growth Molecules?
Well, first, I love customer success, and I love communication and working with people. In my experience, I really wanted to spread it across different tech organizations, not just work for one. And I really like working in a collaborative environment. So there are a lot of consultants out there in sales, go-to-market, customer success. But I like working as a consultant with people. And so now I get to work with people I love, I respect, they challenge me, and we get to work with great clients. They bring us big problems they're encountering, and we get to be part of a team that solves them. And it is so rewarding to work with a group of people. The mindset is able to accomplish so much more, hold you accountable, and it's fun. And so that's really why I wanted to start it. I didn't want to keep working for other organizations where their culture didn't align with who I am and what I believe in. And now I believe we've built that company. There's a lot of autonomy. We're all adults. There's no babysitting, and there's no yearly reviews. The reviews are in real time.
Right. There's no annual reviews.
Right after a call with the client, give me feedback. What could I have done better? And that's how we believe we grow. And that's why I started Growth Molecules.
I love that you did that. And congratulations on your success, both of you, with Growth Molecules. It's amazing. So back to the book for a moment. We were talking a little bit before we hit record about the loneliness factor in leadership. And there's a loneliness for men and women, but I believe that it's harder for women in a lot of ways. So Emilia, tell us about the loneliness factor.
Yes, so I do believe that it is lonely, especially when you have rejection after rejection after rejection, and you thought you had it in the bag, all the meetings were going great, and yet you still have to have a positive face for your team. You can't let them worry or feel defeated, because the morale instantly goes down, and it takes one bad apple, one negative person to really create a negative culture. So there is this element of fear and loneliness when you're leading a company. And I have a newfound respect for entrepreneurs. My father never in his life worked for someone. He owned his own business for 30 plus years. And I never realized how hard it was until I jumped in. And that's the hardest part, I think, is the fear factor that comes with loneliness. It's like, oh no, when is there going to be a bright light? And I have to keep a smile going.
Yeah, I see that especially. And so there are a lot of groups out there, peer groups, that are really fantastic. And one of the ones, well, there's a few, but one of the ones for women that I really love is WPO. So Women Presidents Organization. It's all other female leaders who are not necessarily in your same sector, but they all have some of the same issues. And so WPO specifically is $1 million and above businesses with that kind of revenue, which is fantastic. And it's been one of the best things I've ever done for my company. So it's nice to have those resources, especially as a woman, I think.
I agree. Sabina and I belong to several as well. And that been incredible resources for us, including the Authoress group. I try to attend any of those meetings as possible. I feel so lifted and empowered, and I always have something to take away back to my own business and to our book.
Love it. Well, Sabina, I want to ask you this question. So women are different than men. That's very clear. I mean, physiologically, biologically, we're different. But, I believe years ago when I started in business, and I'll tell you, I started in 1988, so it's been a while, but my goal at the time was to emulate the male leaders because I thought that was the only way to get ahead. I don't believe that now. So Sabina, tell me a little bit about why we don't have to be like men to be leaders.
We bring something that is dynamic and unique that really drives the diverse element that makes the business place well-rounded. We bring these skills that are typically innate to women, not always, but empathy, right? Having empathy, high EQ, and being able to understand there's always more than meets the eye in a situation. And I've had the honor of coaching many men and team members, and I've really driven that point home. There's always more than meets the eye. I may not, as a leader, be able to explain to my team why we need to do X, Y, Z. The answer may be because we're trying to get IPO ready. The board just came down on me about something. I can't share it with you all because you're going to all freak out. I have to keep and hold, a serious face here. I might be able to share those things and do it in such a way. I'm delivering the message. I'm being truthful and honest, but I'm not able to disclose everything. And I'll say that there are things that I am not able to share with you at this time, but know that I have your best interest at heart. So examples, that think I come to mind about that particular aspect or things like that. But also the thing that we bring that I think stereotypically men are reluctant to do is community. We are naturally humans wired for that. But in particular, women, when you think about going back to our roots as humans, men would go out hunting. Well, the women would stay back and gather and support one another. We say it takes a village. It really takes a village. And you don't need to be shamed for that. I think it's absolutely okay to look at the growth ladder, if you will, as women helping each other by standing on each other's shoulders.
Yes.
Rather than squishing each other down. And that's a difference.
It is a huge difference. We can be competitive, but we're also cooperative. And so I love that graphic you've seen out there of the woman standing up and she's reaching her hand back to the next woman to help her up. And I think that is such an important thing that women do as leaders and as just women in general, is that we create that community that's necessary for success. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. This book is so incredible, and I want everyone to read Pressing On as a Tech Mom. So we're going to put a link to that in the show notes, just so you know. So ladies, we've all had people in our lives who've influenced us as you are influencing others in a positive way. So I would love to hear from each of you. What is the best or most impactful piece of advice you've ever received that really still resonates with you to this day? Emilia.
The number one advice, and it was from my sister Josephine, she always told me, no matter what happens, rise above it. And that's especially when people really hurt you. We've had former colleagues and people in our professional careers that may have done something, then you go find out about it later. And I instantly think of two that it's gut wrenching to know that these things happened, but I've chosen to rise above it. Yep. And one person I'm still friends with, just confronted him head on, and the other I just chose to walk away from. And it's been it's been a power for me to rise above it so that you're not dwelling in the past or negative feelings, that you have to move on. And sometimes it includes people, and other times you have to let them go. And so that's what rise above it means for me.
I love that. It reminds me of the quote by Michelle Obama, when they go low, we go high. Because you have to rise above in order to be successful, but also to keep your sanity, I think. Mm-hmm. All right, Sabina, what about you? What is the most impactful piece of advice that you've received that still sticks with you?
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. That means take your imposter syndrome and squash it.
That's right.
It is that you do have the skills. You are just getting in your own head about it. And so if you bring to the most rudimentary, terse approach of faking it till you make it, the way that I embody that is, I feel uncomfortable right now. This discomfort is not going to last forever.
Yeah.
Now at this stage of my life, 20 plus years of work experience, every time I had that feeling in my stomach and I pushed through and I faked it, I came out of the other side stronger. I surprised myself that I had the skills, that I was steadfast with that. I was a lot more resilient than I thought. And I am now willing to share that with other people, that message with others that I mentor and coach, because it's a mindset shift and one that comes with courage and confidence and experience. But had someone told me that earlier in my career, and not 10 years ago, I think it would have moved me and I would have probably gone for even more challenging opportunities and may have seized promotions and other things even earlier.
Yeah, they do say that men will go for it, even if they have 50% of the qualifications.
Right.
Women feel like they need to have everything. So I like the fake it till you make it and quash that imposter syndrome. Great advice to learn from. Appreciate it. So I believe that every woman on earth has a superpower, and I know you both do. So Sabina, what is your superpower?
I think it's to multitask.
Oh.
It's a skill that I believe is innate to being a working mother. And one that, as I'm engaged, I'm speaking with you, I'm thinking about, my dog down the hall, she's going to need to go to the restroom soon. We're out of apples. My daughter needs apples tomorrow. I've got, a client meeting upcoming and I think I'm going to nail it because I prepared last night, while also being engaged, thinking about the words that are coming out of my mouth right now.
Absolutely.
So those are pretty critical. I think I've always told my teams that as a leader, you need to be able to think about what happened 10 minutes ago or 2 years ago. You need to be thinking about anticipating the future and options for if we hit the revenue target at this level versus this level versus this level. What anticipation should I have for my board of directors or my CEO who might call me at 2 a.m? So I'm preparing while also being present and empathetic and understanding that the people that are with me right now may have a story that they're going through as we speak. They may be having mental health. They may be in an abusive relationship. They may be hungry, right? I mean, there's all sorts of different dimensions. Trying to be that well-rounded, multitasking self is something that I tend to be really good at, and I'm proud of that.
Oh, I love that. You keep all those plates spinning. They're all spinning. All right. So Emilia, what is your superpower?
Yeah, it's hard to beat Sabina's, but I'm just thinking of the song from Nirvana, Come As You Are. And I really try to create not only in my home for my children and the friends they bring, and they all come from different backgrounds, different families. I welcome them all in. And so I try to create an environment, whether it's at work. I've always been very intentional about creating teams that are diverse and creating a household of acceptance. And so I think that's really important. Just come as you are. We're better together as a community. And Sabina has said this over and over again, community over competition wins. And
I love that.
Really believe in it. And so that's what I strive as my superpower, just be accepting of people's differences. We're better together.
We are. We're stronger together. I agree. Beautiful superpowers. I love them both. And, we've had such a fun conversation with you both today. So Emilia Donzica and Sabina Pons, co-authors of Pressing On as a Tech Mom, How Tech Industry Mothers Set Goals, Define Boundaries, and Raise That Bar. It's Raise the Bar, people, for success. And we will put that link in the show notes. Ladies, where can we find you online? Can you let us know where we can find you? Sabina.
Best place is LinkedIn. We post about women in tech and about customer success, revenue retention daily. And
Awesome.
we also can be contacted, via email. That's really easy. Sabina at Growth Molecules and Emilia at Growth Molecules.
All right. Amelia, anything to add as to where to find you online?
We're also on YouTube. We're constantly publishing ebooks and blogs
Love
at
it.
molecules.com.
Oh, so cool. Thank you for those resources. And thank you so much for being here today. This has been a really fun conversation. I can't wait for our listeners to grab your book.
Thank you for having us. It's been really an exciting conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks. And listeners, I want you to remember we all have superpowers. Sabina can multitask. She's got all those plates spinning in the air at one time. And Emilia has the superpower of acceptance. So remember to come as you are. I have superpowers, listeners, and you have superpowers. Remember to use them for good. And thank you for listening today to the Lead Like a Woman show, where we're passionate about empowering female leaders to empower others. And I want you to remember that community over competition always wins.